Don't go buy a house. So if you're getting a paycheck, you're saying, man, I just want to be able to do what you're doing. Look, to do what I'm doing and getting my money put to work, you don't need to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to be a business person. You don't have to have your own business. If you're making 40, 60, 80, 150, 200, obviously the more the better, you can start there. Cut out the shit in your life that you don't need. When it comes down to percentages of how much, I can make stupid recommendations and tell you, hey, you should save this percentage. It's as much as you can. Now, some people are in a different boat because they might have 2 kids to feed, right? And they might bring in a total of between the 2 parents, and maybe they bring in 80, 100, 120,000 a year. If you're smart, like, don't buy your kids the stuff that they're not gonna play with multiple times. Get them something meaningful. Okay, for Christmas, the stuff they're not playing with, sell it, take it back, send it back, get the money back. Be smart with where don't go buy a new car. Don't go buy a house. Go find a duplex to live in. Go rent. What that's gonna allow you to do is you're not gonna have equity tied up. If your roof leaks, you're not gonna have to take care of it. You need to have money and equity available that you can start to get working for you that is gonna produce cash flow day one. Not sit in a house for 3 years and then pay you off. You need something that's gonna provide you cash flow from day one. Money coming in, not money going out. And when you own something, you're gonna have money come in, you're gonna have money go out towards expenses, but the thing is you have a revenue source that pays the expenses, that pays maybe the debt, and then you have money left. That's cash flow. You need to invest in things that cash flow, not that you might sit on for 3 years and 5 years and 10 years to then get a return. Now, if we're talking my story, what did I do, right? If we're talking my story and what I did, right? 2011, I think I made 11K the whole year. Well, 2012, I got involved in direct sales. I started doing stuff, right? My income went to like 45,000. Now, my expenses here didn't go up, so my income went up 4x, right? But my expenses, they didn't, do this. That's not what they did. My expenses, they stayed flat. I mean, I was hardly, $11,000. I was basically spending everything that I had because $11,000 isn't that much. But what happened was made the 45K. I just kept spending what I had previously spent. I didn't go buy a new car, right? 2013, I think that year I made about 65 to 80, right? Again, my expenses stayed flatlined. My expenses did not do this, right? Now, my savings did that. My savings, I stashed cash. My savings went like this, right? And then I had 40K stashed, right? Because after taxes, I still had some business expenses running my business out of this, right? But $40,000 was stashed. And what I did with that 40, right, and this is still in 2013, I put that 40 into a 4 unit, right, for 200K. Well, now I had cash flow. So going forward, because this all happened at the end of 2013. So now going forward, 2014, this income went up to about, 95. But now I had $1,000 cash flow on top of that from this, right? This started throwing off that 100,000 or that 1K per month. So it was about 12K that first year. Now what I did was that year, I went and I had more savings. So what I do, in 2014, I went and bought another 4 unit. And so I saved, I didn't just save to save, I saved up for a specific reason to acquire cash flow producing real estate, right? So I had this one that was still paying me, right? I had this one still paying me. So now in 2015, income was about 100-ish, but what happened was I now had about 1K a month coming from this one, and this one bumped up to about 1,500 a month, right? So that's 12,000, that's 18, that's 30K cash flow, ballpark, right? So now it's 130K total. And again, when my expenses here stayed flat, like I was 11K, like I was still the 11K kid here, even though I had 130, right? Obviously got to pay taxes on that. I had maybe, I think I'd saved up like 100 at that point, right? At that point, I was able to make a $100,000 investment into something that has already paid me $400,000, $300,000 to $400,000. And part of that investment is still rolling. It's probably gonna pay me another 1.2 2 to 1.6 million bucks. That's the power though of being able to save as much as you can. Do not increase your expenses to get as much stuff working for you as possible, right? So as other things started happening, what did we do in 2016? Well, 2016 we bought the 300 storage units. We bought an 88 unit, we bought a 40 unit, bought a 24 unit. Because what we did with these first 4 properties, we added value. We bought both of them for 200K, but they were now worth about 600-ish. So we refinanced. So we had a good chunk of refi come out. So we had refi money plus a few investors. That was when we got our first investors on board to be able to bite off these things. They came together right here and we bit that off, right? And we still had the initial 8 units that were paying about $2,500 a month cash flow, right? Now you gotta remember this 100K was probably up to about ballpark 120K at that point. Plus I had, about 35K coming in from the investments that I had. Now these things started smoking. I had 10% ownership here, I had 10% ownership here, I had 10% ownership here. There's other investors, right? Plus I was getting paid other ways through the performance and through managing, right? I had 72% ballpark of the storage units. We put $60,000 into the storage units. None of that was my money. This was all from investors. And I still had 72% of that ownership, right? Well, what did we do? The storage units day one were about, it was about $800 a month cash flow. We quickly raised rents. The thing was like 40%, I don't know, it's 30% vacant or so. We got that up to about 95% occupied. And what we did was we actually went out and bought some more storage units by refining. So now we controlled about double that portfolio. And again, this 60K, not from me, but I still own 72%. We had ballpark, I don't know, $900,000 of debt, but we then sold it for 3.6 million, right? Okay, well, 3.6 million minus 900,000 is 2.5. And again, I had 72% of that. What'd we do? We rolled it forward. So we took this, 2 million bucks, whatever it was. We went and bought a 96 unit, went and bought a 42 unit, went and bought 10 unit, went and bought a 48 unit, and we actually also sold the 4 units as well. So we also sold those 4 units, right? And so that was a part of this 2 million that we had as well. So it wasn't just, I can't remember the debt amount, but I remember we had ballpark 2 to 2.5 million between the 4 units, the storage units that we sold to put into these other deals, right? We sold this initial 40 unit and 24 unit, it paid us every single month. It paid us. We didn't have to pay to live in it. We like a single family home and wait. While we waited, they paid us. We then sold those. And what we did there was we sold these, and what happened was we bought a 199 unit and another 42 unit. There was investors that also came in, right? So now again, how many streams do I have off this real estate? I got my own investment that's working. I have the management company and we get acquisition fees and fees for managing and whatnot. Plus I get paid for the performance of these investments for other people. So once we get the investors the preferred return that we told them we were gonna get them, that got them on board, there's then a split with the remaining cash that's left. So those bonuses are huge. But all of this, by doing all of this, right? And my main thing was I wanted to keep money, I wanted to keep it flowing, right? I wanted to keep the flow on. The fastest way to turn the flow off is a house that you live in equals flow off, because there's not the cash flow. I wanted to keep as much money as possible. I didn't go get, what's this right here, Maudine? I didn't go get a car, a fancier car. I didn't go buy a house. I didn't go buy cool shoes, right? I didn't go do that stuff. I didn't go get this awesome shirt that would have made me look fly. I didn't do that. I kept the money flowing with cash flow, with apartments, with storage units, with businesses, right? Because we had the veterinary businesses, right? So I went all in every single time that my savings would be 50K, 100K, 200K, 400K. I literally after I'd buy something, I would go all in with my own money and I'd have zero in my bank account. I'd have to go back and stack it up. But I could stack it up quick because I didn't have all these expenses going out that people think that they need to have. And so that's the power, Maudine. That's how it's done. And what this is equated to, right? All of this is equated to over 8 years. This for 8 years equals, I'm gonna draw the arrow to the next page. It's equaled, we're at 900 and about to be at 980 apartments. We have about between 30 and 40 employees. We fluctuate. We've got 100 investors, which through those investors, I personally have I don't know, millions of my personal money going in these deals. But then because, again, I'm getting paid performance based on these investors, right? So let's say, for example, we've got $30 million on our management. If we're paying a 6% preferred return to them, 6% in preferred returns, about $1.8 million a year, our investors, right? Now let's say we have $2 million, well actually it's more than that. Let's say we have $4 million per year to distribute. Well, we pay them that 1.8, so the 1.8 minus 4 is gonna leave us about $2.2 million. And now, up till they get this 12% pref, we're gonna get 30% of that. My group will get 30% of that up to a 12% pref. So until they get another 1.8, the investors will get another 1.8 million. Then what that allows us to do is we're gonna get 700K here on the next 1.8. This 700K, we're not trading money for that 700K. That 700K is coming from the performance of getting our investors paid, doing what we said we would do. Now obviously the math doesn't work here, right? Because there's 2.2 left and we've got 2.5. So what that means then is basically there was 300K that's paid to us. There's another 400K that's gonna be paid to us throughout these next coming years on these deals. And that's only on just under 1,000 units. So now, going back to the business plan, right? What happens when we're at 5,000 units? But you've got to start. All of this happened in 8 years. All because started right here with the mindset of, as my money grows, as my income increases, I'm not gonna go spend more. I'm gonna get the money working for me. I'm gonna get that money flowing through storage units, through apartments, through businesses. I'm gonna find ways to get my earnings up. That's what you have to do. You gotta find a way to get your earnings up. Get a hold of me about our direct sales and social marketing. Like, we can help you increase your income, right? It's something that I'm still doing is direct sales. Why? Because it pays me a few $1,000s a month, and I don't have to spend a ton of time doing it. Find a way to get your earnings up. Find a way to not spend more of those earnings. Let it stack up and get your flow on, and everything will change.